Politics as usual.
Thank you, Jay. You know, he's absolutely reasonable doubt. And without a reasonable doubt, the hot topic of today's political landscape is discussing who as black people should earn our vote. We have historically voted for Democrats because we believe that they have our best interests in mind, right?
Yeah.
But is that really true? Is that the case? As of late, you know, black thought leaders and media members from Killer Mike to Charlemagne the God, we've all heard, even the much maligned Mr. Kanye West have challenged black people to not give their vote away so easily to the Democratic Party without hesitation. We've even had an old white man tell us that if we didn't vote for him, our status as black people would be officially revoked.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
I love that. Shit. I love it. There's a bit of truth in there, okay? There's a slight bit of truth.
Okay, hold on. What okay. Where only in 2020 can a 77-year-old white man tell a brother that
speak his truth.
I'm gonna snatch your black card from you.
Speak your truth, kid.
If you listen to it again,
he said that with his finest.
You listen to hear how serious his voice was in that damn audio clip.
Joking? That was conviction.
He said that shit like, man, I'm over with this.
That shit with his chest.
Drop the mic and walk the fuck out.
Did that sound? Listen to him. Listen to him again. Listen to him.
Problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump. And you ain't black.
Boom, motherfucker. If he'd have said motherfucker at the end of the day and walked off, I'd be like, okay.
Vote for that man.
Oh, like, okay. Man, that was conviction, right?
I'm gonna go stand in line.
You gonna stand in line to vote?
Yeah, just for that.
All right. You know, so that's funny to me, man.
You know, it's crazy. I actually got and this is not related. This is related more to politics than music. But there's a line in a song that I just did recently with a good friend of mine. Shout out to Elohim Throw, where he said, and they want me voting. What do you say? They want me voting Democrats when they ain't doing shit for blacks. So don't be trying to give me that lesser of two evils. Please don't get me involved. What did it say? Say less and obey. So essentially, you voting for the lesser of two evils there. I mean, I know Joe Biden has his things that he's had his hand in as far as like the crime bill and he was an advocate for it. He was pushing it. He was behind it.
Yeah.
But then, you know, you do have Donald Trump on the other end, and if you either with him or you not, you know what I mean? Like there is no in the middle on him. So I don't really know enough about Joe Biden to confidently say I would go in and vote for him either. You see what I mean? Yeah. So that's where it goes, because, you know, and this is just me being blatantly honest. I mean, I grew up in Compton, California, and I mean, in my lifetime, I've probably seen, I don't know how many presidents, right? But it never changed our environment.
It never seemed to matter.
It never touched it. Yeah. And so we never gave a fuck who was the president. Like, we care more about who the mayor of Compton was. Like, you know what I mean? If it was Omar Bradley or whoever came after him. And, you know, that's as far as it went for me. I didn't even know anybody else that was. I was shocked when Arnold Schwarzenegger became the governor or whatever he was. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, damn. Yeah, like, it got to be, it made everything possible.
Schwarzenegger killed Tookie, so I don't even want to talk about that.
Right.
So shout out to the Lokes. So but that Elohim Throw, I think, quote that you mentioned, you know what I'm saying, really brings the point home of what I want to, address and, bring to the table. Just look at it like, the question becomes like, how do we decide on these things, right? How do we approach this? Where should we go for guidance and advice on these matters? For me personally, it's a must for us to look at what our leaders of old have had to say about America's political power brokers, because we don't really have a lot of voices, right, of wisdom and discernment and insight to give us guidance, right? We, unfortunately, all of our extremely astute black leaders were assassinated right in the same span of time, right? So I kind of want to go back, really, honestly, and look at some of these great intellectuals like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and see what they had to say on these issues, right? They give us a wealth of insight. And, the quote that I want to talk about and go back to the archives again is from Brother Malcolm and what he had to say about the two parties that seem to be fervently fighting for the attention of black people. But I'm going to warn you, this is a precursor. This may be a trigger warning for some of y'all, because I know that there's a lot of ingrained ideology. But I think it's important for us to kind of review this. And I want to read this because I think that it's valuable. But it may challenge you. So this is from Malcolm X in 1963 and what he said about liberals and conservatives, right? He said, listen to this, gentlemen. The white liberal is the worst enemy to America and the worst enemy to the black man. Let me explain what I mean by the white liberal. In America, there is no such thing as Democrat or Republican anymore. In America, you have liberals and conservatives. The only people living in the past who think in terms of I'm a Democrat or Republican is the American Negro. He's the one that runs around bragging about party affiliation. He's the one that sticks to the Democrats or sticks to the Republicans. But white people are divided into two groups, liberal and conservative. The Democrats who are conservative vote with Republicans who are conservative. The Democrats who are liberal vote with Republicans that are liberal. The white liberal aren't white people who are for independence, who are more moral and ethical in their thinking. They are just a faction of white people that are jockeying for power. The same as the white conservative is a faction of white people that are jockeying for power. They are fighting each other for power and prestige. And the one that is the football in the game is the Negro. 20 million black people then. Our numbers haven't really increased 13% for a long time. That's a whole other issue unto itself. Right. But a political football, a political pawn, an economic football, an economic pawn, a social football, a social pawn. The liberal elements of whites are those who have perfected the art of selling themselves to the Negro as a friend of the Negro, getting sympathy of the Negro, getting the allegiance of the Negro, and getting the mind of the Negro. Then the Negro sides with the white liberal, and the white liberal use the Negro against the white conservative. So that anything that the Negro does is never for his own good, never for his own advancement, never for his own progress. He's only a pawn in the hands of the white liberal. The worst enemy that the Negro have is the white man that runs around here drooling at the mouth, professing to love Negroes and calling himself a liberal, and it is following these white liberals that has perpetuated problems that Negroes have. If the Negro wasn't taken, tricked, or deceived by the white liberal, then Negroes would get together and solve our own problems. I only cite these things to show you that in America, the history of the white liberal has nothing but a series of trickery designed to make Negroes think that the white liberal was going to solve our problems. Our problems will never be solved by the white man. The only way that our problem will be solved is when the black man wakes up, cleans himself up, stands on his own feet, and stops begging the white man and take immediate steps to do for ourselves the things that we have been waiting on the white man to do for us. Once we do for self, then we will be able to solve our own problems. The white conservatives aren't friends of the Negro either, but they at least don't try to hide it. They are like wolves. They show their teeth in a snarl that keeps the Negro always aware of where he stands with them. But the white liberals are foxes who also show their teeth to the Negro but pretend they are smiling. The white liberals are more dangerous than the conservatives. They lure the Negro, and as the Negro runs from the growling wolf, he flees into the open jaws of the smiling fox. One is the wolf, the other is the fox. No matter what, they'll both eat you. Malcolm X, 1963.
God damn.
I know that's heavy. I apologize, if that offends, but those are Malcolm's quotes. I wanted to read it so we can just kind of like marinate on it. What do y'all think about those quotes? What are your perspective on it?
You just made me feel like I was in the movie Malcolm X. That shit was long as hell. Was that a speech
like,
you written
that
down,
boy's
or was that just
long-winded.
pure conversation?
That was a speech.
God damn.
I mean, listen, I understand where he was coming from at the time.
Yeah.
I understand, and that goes along with another one of my favorite quotes about him is that, that the price of freedom is death, and it comes with a certain price. And this falls in line with that for me. Like, I don't necessarily know the context in which he was speaking, but I do understand where he was going with it. But I mean, it all falls within the same rhetoric of who Malcolm X is in general, for the most part.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you know anything about him, you know that he never held his tongue when it came to how he felt about all those things.
Anything.
But I would say I slightly agree with some of it. I think most of our problem is our general lack of knowledge regarding certain things that have to do with politics. And so the easy answer is just to say, I don't want to vote. Like, I don't trust none of them. Like, that's kind of a cop-out. You see what I'm saying? Like, so I think what I take from this is I need to be more knowledgeable about if I am to pick a side. I need to learn more about both sides first.
Educate yourself.
But even then, I'm not necessarily looking to jump in head first either. I may want to check out both sides and stand on the sidelines. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of preference when it comes to me. Like, I don't really feel like I don't really trust any part of the government. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I don't have any any of it inside of me that says, hey, I believe that if you put this person in office,
they're going to do the right thing.
Everything is going to change. No, I believe everybody has their own agenda and ulterior motives when it comes to everything. And so in order to get to a certain place, there's a level of transparency that we will never have. So I just, at times, it's frustrating. I just say, fuck it. But I mean, I don't know enough. And I'm not patient enough to sit and learn it at 34. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's where I'm going with it. Like, I do as much as I can and learn as much as I can on the fly. But it's just like, bro, there's so many other things I got to worry about. Like, I got to worry about not getting pulled over out here. And like, I mean, I'm just trying to live out here. That's it. I'm just trying to go day by day out here. Like, so... But no, I think it's powerful though. I thought what he said was powerful. It was very long winded, but it was powerful.
Listen. I wanted to get it all in there because I didn't want I guess I don't like. I feel like we like people have been taking this quote. Well, maybe you want to say the whole thing, right? Because I've been seeing like conservative use a part of this quote to say, look, black people, you shouldn't vote for Democrats as if like they're better. I said, wait a minute, like if you're gonna quote it, like put it in context of the whole thing.
Right.
So I think that was my issue. I think what stuck out for me was honestly just the independence that we should have, right? Like we shouldn't be looking to anyone. And when you look at it, the issue that I have across the board is that we don't own anything. You know what I'm saying? Even the areas that we dominate in life, right? The NFL is what, 75, 80%, African American. The NBA is probably even higher than 85%, right? And even arts and entertainment. We have dominated arts and entertainment. We don't own any of it. And for me, so that's kind of what I resonate with it. Obviously, Brother Malcolm, he speaks in a much more harsh tone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that can offend, right? You know what I'm saying? So the purpose wasn't to offend, it was to kind of give perspective and kind of take a step back and see what brothers like Malcolm X thought about the political system, right? And he was noticing things in 1963 that we were too easy to give our vote to one party because they were friendly. You know what I'm saying? And when you look across the board, and this is, what like Killer Mike has bemoaned, right? If you look at Baltimore and Chicago and in metropolitan areas where our populations are the most densely populated, liberals have been running those cities for decades and they're trash. So, we can't just continue to just so easily say, okay, I rock with Democrats for XYZ. If we need to make our own political party, which we tried to do, and then they killed, they infiltrated, obviously, Huey P in the crew. But at the end of the day, I just want us to be more reflective. Like we have to think more. And so y'all know, man, I get into my head probably too much, more than maybe I should, you know what I'm saying? And I think about these things and ponder because I really want us to be thoughtful in our actions because the time is now for us to begin to make changes. This is the reason why you're seeing us support, more black-owned businesses and saying, okay, enough is enough. And, and having things like the Blackout Tuesday and even the, the stuff that we're going to get into later about from the Black Coalition, the economic blackout, right? Now we're starting to say, okay, maybe if we own our own, like even Nipsey bought the whole, right, in South Central in the Crenshaw district. What did he do? He went up and bought a whole shopping center, right? Because we need to create our own banks. We need to create even schools with curriculum and education so that we're not in a situation to be beholden and have to always depend and need handouts from other people. And obviously we know that slavery and Jim Crow and civil rights that we've been fighting for, we're 450 years behind. Okay, so with all that being said, what can we do now progressively to move forward? Because at some point in time, I get tired of talking about, all the wrong that happens to us, because it gets exhausting. It's tiresome, right? I want to positively build forward. And so I think it helps us to look at the struggle of those that came before us and what they were fighting for and their perspectives on politics and how we can take that information and apply it today.
All right. I think my only bit of concern from that is if the things that we see as obstacles right now, if you say, systemic racism, if you say police brutality against African Americans, if you think about that, I don't believe that change can be made from us. I don't think we're the problem. You see what I mean? And so in essence, I don't think it's up to us to fix what these issues are. And I think that's the point that gets muddied. How do you,
I don't know.
In the instance of what's going on right now, how, even in the George Floyd situation, right? How is that something that we need to fix? You see what I'm saying? Like, what do we need to do as a people to say we don't want to die on the street in front of 20 people?
I'll give you an example, right? So we all of us know Highland Park, right?
Right.
Okay, in the city, right? Highland Park, highly affluent area. Highland Park is not a city. Y'all know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It is a community that taxpayers have fund their own police. They say, okay, city of Dallas, we don't need you to police us. We've got this.
Right.
We're gonna hire our own police, our own fire department. You don't have to worry about this sector of our city. So it is possible within law to police yourselves. If we have more of ourselves policing ourselves, we extend more grace. We give more benefit of the doubt. Okay, so through economic means and through wealth and advancement and progression of ownership. And when we own businesses, we own homes, we have banks, we control lending to our own people. Then we can create communities where we can hire police that know how to interact with our culture. So yes, you're right in the sense of right now.
But that only keeps you safe in your place of, that's like Wakanda. That's not really realistic. Like that only keeps me safe on the other side of this imaginary wall. Like we all travel and go other places. Yeah. Like, you know, I live in this, like I said, I live in the suburbs. We could be fine where we're at. Like I can be fine in Louisville, Texas. But what happens when I go to Highland Park or I'm in Highland Village in Flower Mound? Or you see what I'm saying? Like it's just a different, and so that's my thing. Like I know I can be protected in my house. Like if you run in my house right now, you'll have a problem. But if I'm outside of it, I'm subject to whatever the land brings to me, and that's my thing. Like how do I change? There's nothing I can change to make you hate me less if you already hate me.
There is a return movement. We can talk about too as well. You know, if we want.
It's a deep dive. You know what I mean? I know it's a wormhole to crawl down, and I tend to not. Because I try to be on the more of the optimistic side of things, and I try not to be a glass half empty type of guy. But it's just kind of sometimes you just sit and think like, damn, like the times that I've had instances with the police, and I mean I've had run-ins with the police since like middle school. Like I remember the school police in Compton like would apprehend you if you were ditching and bring you back to school. But if they had to do that more than one time in a day, it was going down the rest of the times they caught you. It didn't matter what they did, whether it was they may rough you up in the back wherever they catch you, they may drop you off in the wrong neighborhood.
On purpose.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So that has been going on for me since like middle school. So now in my mind, like even if something happened at my house, I don't call 911, bro.
Nah.
Like I ain't called 911 not one time in 34 years of living. And when it was called from my house, it was an accident. When we had issues with domestic violence in my family, there was no calling 911.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna handle it myself. You see what I'm saying? Like, so I'm just trying to, in my mind, like when I hear so many thoughts of what needs to be done, it's like, well, yeah, that's fine for those who have the means and the will to do that.
Right.
But a lot of times the fight isn't for those who have the means to go buy their block up. Like Nipsey was only one nigga in his neighborhood that could do that.
Well, yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Of
like,
course, but that's the problem. Like, okay, think about it. Like, there's 1,000 Nipseys for white America, though. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that's I guess that's my point. At some point, we either are gonna have to progress and multiply cats like Nip, right? Or we're going to have to figure out another solution.